Okay, so today I'm going to be doing the mom tag video. I saw a lot of girls doing this, but no guys, so I said, screw it. I want to do a video with my mom. So I'm going to ask her some questions here, and she's going to answer them. What was I like as a child?
I have written some things out. I might have to look down
Okay,
at
yeah,
from
that's
time
fine.
to time. You were born with stunningly good looks, I have to say. Not that that's the most important thing, so I'm glad you turned out intelligent. That was definitely one thing that was striking. I think you got away with a lot.
There's like a note that says I was very masculine as a baby, which I don't
Yes.
think sustained like very long. I don't feel very masculine.
Well, I think that was all about
Yeah.
was that you were the first boy, so we had nothing else to compare us to.
Yeah, right.
As an infant, you were colic. That was really tough. But once you got over those tummy issues, you know, you were a lot of fun and no more crying Ryan. So you were definitely a kid who knew what you wanted. He was very stubborn. I remember you were very much into transportation, trains, cars, trucks. At one point, all I would have to do was take a ride to the nearest rest stop and Ryan would just be in heaven pointing, big truck, big truck, big truck, big truck. And we didn't have to spend any money, so it was great.
And now I'm intimidated by trucks and driving trucks.
Interesting.
What do you think of me making YouTube videos?
So I really don't think much about it, really. I support you in all your endeavors, so I hope you find the audience that you want.
What's something funny I did when I was younger?
Push Ashley the cat out the window. Luckily, we lived on the first floor, and I don't know if he was just testing out the theory as to whether or not cats always land on their feet or cats have 9 lives, but he totally pushed my cat out the window. And he did it very sneaky. I forget how he got caught, but obviously he didn't do it in front of anyone. So that was a funny thing. And you also used to, I used to find bite marks in the butter, in the sticks of butter, and I'm pretty sure that was you too. Oh, one more thing you did.
Yeah.
When we lived on Birch Street, you scratched all of the numbers off of the remote control for the TV in your room, I believe, so your little brothers wouldn't be able to use it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. How did I start writing?
Okay, so I don't know. I know you are always a big reader. One day you showed up with Love, your friend Love, in
Yes.
case anybody doesn't know. His name is Love Danielson. And you guys were just like, oh, we're just like totally editing my book. And I was like, okay, cool.
What's a weird habit of mine?
LOL, you have so many. That's what I wrote down. I don't know. You're just always, you kind of remind me of myself a little bit. You're always trying to be progressive. You're like, okay, so I'm a vegan for like the next, couple of months, and I'm like, okay, that'll pass, and I'm not drinking soda, and I like have sleep down to a science now, so you're
Yep.
always like trying new things, which is cool. So I almost named you Patrick. Seeing how you are now, I could peg you as an Ethan,
Ethan.
or something that sounds distinguished yet down to earth.
When we go out to eat, what do I order?
Chicken.
Yeah, chicken. We went to a seafood restaurant, I ordered chicken.
Yeah, chicken.
Have you ever been worried that one of my friends was from the wrong crowd?
Yes. Most recently, when we went skydiving,
Mm-hmm.
and your friend got in my car reeking of marijuana. That was okay, and he totally apologized, and I was cool with that. But then once we got to Lebanon, Maine, and my car was in the hot sun for a couple of hours, and I went to get something out of my car, I could smell the marijuana before I even opened the door. So apparently he had a large amount of marijuana in the backpack, and I was the driver, and we were across state lines, so that made me quite nervous.
Well, admitted to a crime. You're culpable now. What's something that I do that annoys you?
Change your mind too often. It's very hard to make plans. Sometimes, this happened to us recently. We had a plan. We were going to go out. I asked him, I put the ball in his court and I said, hey, these are the options. What do you think you want to do? I said, think it over, think about it, blah, blah, blah. So, we decided we were going to go to the castle in Beverly and check it out. Well, he decided. A couple of days later or a day later, 3 hours before we were set to go, he's like, Mom, I think I want to go to a movie instead.
I was worried about St. Patrick's Day. I didn't realize. I thought it was going to be rowdy, and it wasn't. It wasn't that rowdy.
Yeah, well,
So
that's
it was
just
fine.
one example.
Yeah.
There are actually many.
What's something that I obsess over?
I wrote doing things to a T. Sometimes I wonder if you give yourself a break. I think you're a bit of a perfectionist, and if you don't do things a certain way, you get frustrated and sometimes maybe even a little depressed. And I think you should work on that and, be a little less hard on yourself.
Where would you like to see me in 10 years?
Happy. That's all. And, oh, I actually wrote, using your gifts to help others.
I like that. When were you most proud of me?
Okay, so I don't really like that question.
Okay.
I can't really pick a time. Society might want me to say, like, oh, when you signed up for college or when you got an A in that class. But the thing is my love for you is unconditional, and I'm proud of you all the time.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
What's the most trouble I've ever been in?
So I'm going to go back to what I was talking about earlier about you getting away with a lot of things. You're very sneaky sometimes. I think there are a lot of things that you've done that I have no idea about. Some things I've heard about secondhand or maybe on social media, and I'm like, what? Not Ryan. But yeah, you definitely have a dark side. We all do. What I wrote here was, I have not been present for most of your escapades, so it may not be for me to answer.
Well, what's like the longest I was grounded for? Maybe like a week?
You weren't a lot of trouble. So punishment was not something that we really had to visit very much.
What's your favorite moment of us together?
I can't really pick one moment. I think it's more intimate than that. I think I like it when we're alone together. I feel like we have a connection. It's kind of like an unspoken feeling. It's something that you can't really describe in words. It's something that I think you just feel on a really intimate level. So I enjoy spending time with you. We can sit in a room together. We don't have to necessarily talk. I just feel like the connection is there. I don't know if you feel that way, but
Yeah, I do.
I just totally put you on the spot. I don't know if you feel that way. Sorry.
Okay, how was I in school?
You were good. Yeah. I mean, never any problems at all. All the teachers from kindergarten, from ever since I can remember, any meeting I ever went to, it was always good reports. Ryan's a good kid. He's so quiet. The only teacher you had a problem with was that gym teacher
Someone, yeah.
who passed away, actually, because you weren't into his sports and stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't like that very much. He was very old school.
What would you change if you could raise me again?
This is really a loaded question. Being a parent is the hardest job in the world. I don't care what anyone says. I think that a professor of mine said this: having money does not necessarily make you happy, but it certainly gives you more choices. So one example I can think of was when you were at Hood Elementary School and you had some sort of a play or something. And I remember one of the mothers who, to me, just looked like she was someone who really had it together. She was married, she had a couple twins, and it just seemed like, she was probably a homemaker. So she had time to, be on the PTO and do all these things. And she came up to me one day after school and said, Ryan asked me, how come all the other parents were there, but you weren't there? And I just told him that not all the parents are here, and some parents have to work. And I didn't even know how to respond to her at that time, but looking back on it, I think of what a nice woman she was.
What was a movie that you took me to as a kid that you ended up enjoying a lot?
The Lion King.
Okay.
Back then.
What year did that come out? 1994?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I remember the visuals were just amazing. The soundtrack, the whole story.
I must have liked it too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still like it.
Yeah, that was.
Did
that
you
was a great
walk
movie.
into it thinking it was going to be like a kids movie and you're just, or
Yeah.
do you have
Another Disney movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were sort of blown away. Then.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as it comes up, like, hey, it's like, whoa, what's happening?
I saved the best question for last. Describe my perfect type of girl.
You would definitely need to be physically attracted. I don't know if you realize that sometimes, but I think you definitely would. Because I know you're definitely looking for a certain intellect, but I also think that you definitely have to be physically attracted. She does not have to dress fancy or have a fancy title. I don't think you're like that. I think you're pretty down to earth. She does need to be able to challenge you on an intellectual level, definitely.
Yeah.
Or else you'd be like, maybe not so nice, maybe making fun of her a little bit. Yeah, or I just wrote down you would get bored otherwise. So, yeah, physically attractive. It doesn't have to be, have any type of social status or anything like that, but definitely needs to be able to challenge you and, be on your, maybe not necessarily on your level, but, you want to be able to have a nice conversation.
Yeah. All right. Any closing thoughts?
I love you.
I love you too. All right, guys. Thanks so much for watching. That was my mom.